How well do you ever really know your friends? Kenyatta was friends with James Grubb and Temple, yet they were convicted of murdering her 30 years ago. And along with that, statements from people who knew Grubbs conflicted with each other about his personality. So as we take a look at these statements and more, we'll answer the question of who these boys are. Welcome back to Case Closed. I'm Jay Doolin.
And I'm Gage Galloway.
Right, I'm Kelsey Davis.
In the last episode, we looked at Kenyatta's story, and the episode before that, we looked at Robin's, seeing how the two stories connected. But in today's episode, we're going to be looking at both of the boys.
Thank you for stealing my line, Jade. It's finally time to take a look at the few connections between Robin and Kenyatta's stories, the suspects themselves.
James Derek Grubbs is from Bald Knob and lived there with his mother. His parents were separated, and his father lived 30 minutes away in Cabot, Arkansas at the time. James Grubbs, Sr., Grubbs' father, said in March 12, 1995, Democratic Gazette article that he wanted his son to stay with him on the night of the 10th to get away from everything that happened in Bald Knob. The police showed up at his doorstep the next morning to arrest his son.
The same article described a 17-year-old Grubb as a popular student who was fourth in his class, the Quiz Bowl team, and part of the school newspaper, The Knob. Wanda Brooks, Grubbs' friend's mother, was quoted saying that Grubbs was a hard worker and never smoked, he never drank, or did drugs. Her son, Jason, was quoted in the Democrat Gazette on March 19th saying Grubbs was nonviolent.
Contrasting reports are made from Grubbs' family, indicating Grubbs may have had a violent side. Detective Sergeant Josh Biviano of the White County Sheriff's Office said Grubbs' cousin has a statement in the case file that says Grubbs tortured and killed small animals as a child. Former White County Sheriff's Office investigator Heather Meadows says Grubbs is not charismatic or likable and is disconnected from feelings, lacking empathy. She also says that this lack of empathy and the fact that he hasn't confessed shows that he has no desire to give closure to either Kenyatta or Robin's families.
And so I actually asked Lance about these conflicting statements. I was kind of like, hey, this is what was said by the people who knew him in high school.
Mm-hmm.
First, this is what his cousin said. And I kind of shared those quotes, and I was just kind of like, what's going on? Just because she was on the case at one point. And she said that it depends on kind of like who you talk to about Grubbs, just to like kind of see, I guess, what side of the personality he showed them. But that she did say that he could be easygoing, but was very quick to anger.
And this was like during the time, like I mentioned earlier, torturing small animals and everything else like that. This was during the time where, man, back in my day, kids used to be outside and they used to actually do a lot of hunting and everything else like that. So they actually had access to doing all the different things. A lot of people were, their violent sides weren't known because they were actually getting them out in healthier ways and such things like that. But Donnie Ray Temple did not live in Bald Knob as long as Grubbs. According to the Democrat Gazette, March 19, 1995, said that his family frequently moved, but settled in Bald Knob 12 years prior. Like Grubbs, Temple did not have a great home life. According to the Democrat Gazette, in the same article, his co-workers were quoted saying that Temple had an argument with his parents months prior to Kenyatta's murder because they didn't want him to have a driver's license. He moved in with Grubbs during that time, but for how long is unclear. Stacy Haynes, one of Temple's co-workers, said that in an article she was fired a few months before the murder because he did not call in on his day off.
According to Temple's friend Kevin Pyle, on March 13th of 1995, an article in the Democrat Gazette, Temple called himself Gangster Don and talked about fighting, but it was all just talk. Jason Brooks was quoted again on the 19th and said Temple shaved his head and had a fake tattoo after watching the Kung Fu Monks movie.
Valid.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, I wouldn't. Fair.
I mean, like, whenever I was a kid, I watched Captain Jack Sparrow, and I went on this fake pirate ship and got a pirate tattoo. And I was a pirate.
Did you call yourself Gangster Gage instead of Gangster Don?
Maybe.
Good.
Maybe, actually. Temple is a follower, not a leader, according to Meadows. This echoes in the sentiment of Miss Beto Paisley. we shared earlier, where she didn't think Temple was capable of lying about seeing Robin's body, and that he was easily manipulated. We mentioned in the last episode that Temple had a learning disability and used the resource room at school. Meadows said that she tried to interview Temple while she was on Robin's case, but that Temple's mental state had regressed since incarceration.
According to the Daily Citizen, on March 13th, 1995, Grubbs and Tempel were good friends, and we already mentioned that they worked together before Temple was fired. And based on the observations we just mentioned, it appears that Grubbs was a leader of their friendship. This also suggests that the statement Temple made in October 1995. The Democrat Gazette says Temple said he both knew what was happening during Kenyatta's murder, but he went along with it because he was scared Grubbs would hurt him.
After being arrested on March 11th, both Grubbs and Temple were held without bond in the White County Detention Center until their trials. We already discussed in April 1995. Temple told jailer that Grubbs had shown him Robin's body in Russell, Arkansas. Bibliano said that he didn't think Temple's learning disability discredits his statement.
In May 1995, Temple pled not guilty by mental deficiency, and the court ordered psychological evaluations for both Grubbs and Temple. According to August 1st, 1995 Daily Citizen, Temple had returned from his 30-day evaluation and Grubbs was leaving for his. We do not have the results of those evaluations, but on September 8th, the Daily Citizen said Grubbs was found mentally culpable at the time of Kenyatta's murder. And though his mental state has worsened today, Temple found mentally culpable at the time of the crime and was determined to be mentally competent to stand trial.
Grubbs and Temple pled guilty in fall 1995 and have been incarcerated since. Temple is in the help a brother out.
Oh, I
What?
was even-
What?
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 I was gonna say Uachita.
I was gonna say Uchita or something like that. Wachita?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not missing a letter there?
You should have spelled out the words how we were gonna say them.
True. Yeah.
Wachita.
All of it in
She goes through it and hits it with like the third grade like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do it for you. I'll spell stuff out phonetically.
Yep. Gotta have bloopers somehow, and I'm filling them up.
Mm-hmm.
Grubbs and Temple pled guilty in fall 1995 and have been incarcerated since. Temple is at the Ouachita River Correctional Unit, and Grubbs is at East Arkansas Maximum Unit. Grubbs has completed several programs while incarcerated, which may speak to the debate of his character at the time of Kenyatta's murder that we discussed earlier. According to the Arkansas Department of Correction Inmate Search, Grubbs completed the Stress Management, Anger Management, Communication Skills, and Thinking Errors program in 2016. 2 years later, he completed 2 more stress management programs. The most recent program Grubbs completed was the Substance Abuse Education Program in 2020.
According to the Daily Citizen, on May 7th, 2004, Sheriff Pat Garrett said that Grubbs and Temple are suspects in Robin's case. In a 2021 THV 11 story about the 2 murders, Meadows said they are still persons of interest in her case. Wait, so they know that she's... No. Let me rephrase how I was going to say it.
So he's not confessing to the crime because he does not feel empathy is the theory that we're going with here.
That could be part of the reason. We don't know why he's not confessing to the crime. But just based on the statements from Meadows, who investigated the case for years, who actually did try to interview him, said that he does lack empathy. And so because of that, that could be the reason why he doesn't want to give closure, or he doesn't feel the need to give closure to the families because he's not feeling the empathy for them.
It also said that he didn't confess to either.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did plead guilty in the trial, but a lot of that was, as we talked about in the last episode, a legal thing to avoid the death penalty. So he would have life in prison versus death penalty, since that was still practiced at the time. Just kind of to get a lighter sentence, because if you plead guilty, the prosecution is going to try to work out more of a plea bargain to maybe do a little bit lighter sentence than what you would get if you went to trial.
And let's not forget that he was friends with Kenyatta, the girl he murdered. And Robin was a girl who had a child and who he liked at one point. So we're clearly seeing that his mental state isn't the best.
And we don't know, like, we do know that they had those psych evaluations. We obviously don't have the results of those, just with, like, privacy protection laws and everything. So it's not saying there wasn't something going on. It's just, it didn't affect, because it could have been, or there could have been nothing there that they found. We don't know. But it's just saying that at that time, like, he was mentally culpable to where he was responsible for the crime. Like, he knew what was going on.
He knew what he was doing, yeah.
Enough for them to not plead mental insanity in court. So, we don't really know. Alright, well, you guys finally know the story of both cases, and we've profiled both the victims and the suspects. So I think we've built up enough suspense to answer one more question. 30 years later, what's happening with Grubbs' hearings, and why? Join us in the season finale to find out more about that.